The United States, Britain and Australia have warned their nationals not to travel to Kabul airport. They say there is a significant risk of a terrorist attack. There is growing concern that jihadis affiliated with the Islamic State group may target crowds. But thousands of people are still waiting inside and outside the airport, hoping to fly out of the country. Large crowds have also built up near a land border with Pakistan in southern Afghanistan. The Greek Prime Minister says a string of devastating wildfires this summer has underlined the need for radical shifts in behaviour to tackle global warming. Fires have torn through several Mediterranean countries, including Greece, Turkey, Spain and Italy. And the host nation, Japan, has won its first medal at the Tokyo Paralympics. The teenage swimmer Miyuki Yamada secured silver in the 100-metre backstroke final.
Just got a statement from John Kirby, the Pentagon press secretary, talking about this morning's attack there outside Kabul airport. I'm just going to read it directly. It was just handed to me. We can confirm that a number of U.S. service members were killed in today's complex attack at Kabul airport. A number of others are being treated for wounds. We also know that a number of Afghans fell victim to this heinous attack. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the loved ones and teammates of all those killed and injured. Mick, I'm going to bring you back in because you know a number of these men and women serving in the U.S. military, and this is always very tough to hear when you hear, just listening to Maggie and what all our troops are doing to get these refugees to safe harbor, and now we've got to go back to in-country and find out this explosion, this suicide bomber indeed killed a number, according to John Kirby, of our U.S. service members. This really takes this mission to a different level now. They have not only attacked their own people, they have attacked Americans. They're trying to get people out safely. And now we have a number of our own troops dead there on the ground in Kabul.
Yes, and I know we've been tracking the casualties, and now that we hear that they're actually killed in action, it's obviously something that every American should take a moment to consider. Right now, their families are being notified of what happened, and it is going to be, the worst possible situation for them. I think we should all honor their service and all those that we talked about earlier that have really stepped up and made this operation in the most difficult circumstances the success that it is. But this shows how dangerous we're leaving Afghanistan and just what Afghanistan's likely to become, a safe haven for terrorist groups, not only in the outskirts of Afghanistan, but in the capital city. And this is what everybody was concerned about with the decision to precipitously withdraw and not leave a residual force. And it looks like even before we're gone, even before all citizens, U.S. citizens have been withdrawn, we're already seeing that. But our thoughts and prayers should be with the families of those servicemen and women that were injured and killed, and also with the innocent Afghan civilians that were killed, simply trying to get to the airport and do what they were told so that they could get out of that country safely.
Absolutely. Those Marines, those U.S. service members there at that gate and elsewhere really putting their lives on the line. Nearly 100,000 people have gotten out of Afghanistan, many through that airport, thanks to the courage and sacrifice of the U.S. military members there.
Restrictions on large gatherings on Oahu go into effect today. Groups are generally limited to 10 people indoors and 25 outdoors. This includes all social gatherings, including at parks, beaches, trails, and campgrounds. It also affects restaurants and bars, commercial attractions, and movie theaters. Gyms and fitness facilities will also have to observe the group limit or run at 50% capacity. And it's the same for large events like weddings, conferences, concerts, and ticketed sporting events. Indoor and outdoor organized sports are allowed. That includes youth sports, but spectators must abide by the gathering limits. We have a full detailed breakdown at HawaiiNewsNow.com.
The uncertainty in Afghanistan continues to cause international concern. Many countries have been trying to evacuate their own citizens and staff since the Taliban seized power on August 15th. But the British, U.S., and other governments are calling on people to stay away from the international airport.
we believe that there is a very imminent, highly lethal attack possible within Kabul, and as a consequence, we've had to change the travel advice to advise people not to come to the airport, to move away from the airport, find a place of safety, and await further instructions.
The British Armed Forces Minister mentioned there's very credible intelligence suggesting an imminent terror attack by an affiliate of the Islamic State militant group. The U.S. Embassy on Wednesday also urged citizens to stay away from the airport unless individual instructions are issued. As the turmoil intensifies, the supply of essential goods has been disrupted. The delays are pushing up the cost of food in particular.
There used to be lots of chicken, but now there's a shortage, and prices are going up too.
The owners of this shop say the price of chicken has risen by about 50% since the Taliban takeover. And with Kabul's economy upended, locals are taking the brunt of the impact. Now, nearly 400 Afghans have been evacuated by South Korea. Their embassy staff, experts working for South Korea's aid agency, and their families. The evacuees were carried by a military transport plane. They arrived Thursday at an airport near Seoul. They'll be tested for COVID-19, then put in quarantine at a government-designated facility. Yonhap news agency reports the South Korean government chartered 6 buses in Kabul so people who wanted to evacuate could get to the airport. The report says the buses were provided by a company that does business with the United States. The South Korean government plans to give the evacuees long-term visas. Japan's defense ministry says the Air Self-Defense Force scrambled jets on Thursday as Chinese military aircraft flew between islands in the country's south for a second day in a row. Ministry officials say the Chinese military flew a drone and 2 manned aircraft over waters between Okinawa's main island and Miyako Island. The manned aircraft were a reconnaissance plane and a patrol plane. The 3 aircraft turned around over the Pacific Ocean south of Okinawa and returned to the East China Sea. None of the aircraft entered Japanese airspace. Defense Ministry officials say they're looking into the reasons for these flights. Now, the incident comes 2 days after Japan's self-defense forces held a joint exercise with a carrier strike group led by the British aircraft carrier HMS Queen Elizabeth in waters south of Okinawa. Sources close to the ministry say the vessels that took part in the drills were still in the area on Thursday when the Chinese aircraft made their sortie. Moving now to the coronavirus situation here in Tokyo. Experts say a surge in new cases has been out of control for several weeks, and the medical system is under serious strain. Officials confirmed over 4,700 new cases in the capital on Thursday. The daily tally has fallen from the same day last week for 4 days in a row. But experts say the situation is still at disaster level.
The number of new cases appear to have leveled off, but the situation will get worse if they stay at such a high level. It's possible that some people can't get tested quickly, and that the actual number of infected people is even higher.
The government is pressing ahead with a vaccine rollout, but there's been a setback. Unused vials of the Moderna vaccine were found to contain foreign substances. Officials have not been able to identify the substances. The health ministry has decided to pull more than 1.6 million doses made at the same factory at about the same time. Some doses have already been administered. There are no reports of health problems. Meanwhile, the organizers of the Tokyo Paralympics say they've confirmed 15 more coronavirus cases among people involved. 2 of the infected people are athletes from overseas. That brings the total number of cases connected to the Paralympics to 184. The organizers say 1 person has been hospitalized but is not in serious condition. Across Japan, about 25,000 new cases were reported on Thursday. There are 1,974 patients with serious symptoms. That's a record high for the 14th day in a row. And now to the action at the Tokyo Paralympics. Japanese swimmer Suzuki Takayuki has won the men's 100-meter freestyle. It's Japan's first gold of the Games. Suzuki was born without both legs and a right hand. He also has an impairment affecting the fingers on his left. He took up competitive swimming in high school and has now taken part in 5 straight Paralympic Games. In Thursday's event, the 34-year-old was second after 50 meters, but took control in the closing stages to claim the gold with a Paralympic record. This is Japan's first gold in 2 Paralympics. The team did not win a single event at the 2016 Rio Games. And over in the men's 100-meter backstroke, Belarus's Ihar Boki won his second gold of the Games. The swimmer has a visual impairment. He won 6 events in Rio, the most at the Games. And Anastasia Pagonis of the United States won the women's 400-meter freestyle, setting a world record in the process. The 17-year-old is known for using her social media platforms to spread awareness about para-sports and visual impairments. The godfather of para-equestrian has gotten off to a fast start here in Tokyo. Britain's Lee Pearson won the dressage individual test event, adding yet another gold to his record tally. Pearson was born with a condition affecting the flexibility of his joints. He's competed in 6 consecutive Paralympics and has now claimed 12 golds, which is a record for para-equestrian. He won Thursday's event with a precise and dynamic showing. Pearson is openly gay and has been a passionate campaigner for equal representation in sports throughout his career. He said after his victory, "The Paralympics are about acceptance and society should respect all sexualities and impairments." Next in weather, storms are expected to roll through the central and eastern United States as we head toward the weekend. Our meteorologist Jonathan Oh has the forecast for there and elsewhere in our World Weather Report.
Hello, it looks like it's still going to be a bit of a stormy day on Thursday for the central portions of the United States. So take a look at the satellite perspective. You can see those storms popping up and rolling through the central and upper plains. And that's going to be the case for Thursday and even into Friday, but maybe seeing a little bit more in terms of intensity as we go through Thursday as we see this low pressure rolling through. Down through the south and west, we're talking about hot weather, highs into the 40s in places like Phoenix with a high of 44, 41 in Las Vegas, seeing some showers up toward the Pacific Northwest, but notice thunderstorms into Chicago with a high of 31 as we go through Thursday. Meanwhile, we're looking at some wet weather along the central portions of Europe as we have a couple areas of low pressure, but ahead of that low down to the Balkan Peninsula, looking at highs into the mid-30s in Athens with sunny skies for Friday, so still looking at the heat to persist as we go forward in time. Meanwhile, across Japan, we're talking about some heat as well and humid as we have a Tibetan high that's helping to really keep things on the hotter side with more of the stormy activity back toward China. But look at the highs here coming up for Nagoya, 36 Friday, Saturday into Sunday. Osaka also seeing mid-30s. Tokyo looking at partly cloudy skies, high of 34 degrees as we go through Friday and Saturday. That's a look at your forecast. Hope you have a good day wherever you are.